Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the 59th commencement ceremony for Ross University School of Medicine. My name is Peter Getz, Ross University's Vice Dean. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you here today on this momentous occasion. I would ask that everyone please silence your cell phones and remember to please be courteous to those around you who are also here to see their loved ones graduate. Now, I ask that everyone please rise as we welcome in the Ross University School of Medicine class of 2015. To the Russ University School of Medicine, class of 2015, I have one question. Are you ready to graduate? Now, please remain standing, as I would like to ask everyone, again, remain standing and please rise as we welcome the Russ University School of Medicine Platform Party. Dr. Ibis Yard, Dr. Nader Tavakoli, Dr. Scott Ross, Dr. Sean Reed, Dr. Fabio Potenti, Dr. George Nagy, Dr. Dawn Mellish, Dr. Rhonda McIntyre, Dr. Simon Harrison, Dr. Edward Hall, Dr. Sean Nieko, Dr. Robert Dean, Dr. Priya Datharea, Dr. Jennifer Connolly, Dr. Donovan Christie, Dr. Jean-Baptiste Charlot, Dr. Jane Bateson, Dr. Ehab Aziz, Dr. Gennady Raskin, Dr. George Rios, Dr. Janice Johnson, Dr. Stephen Brooks, Dr. Dave Sharma, Dr. Scott Ippolito, Dr. Bob Sasso, Dr. Romeen Lavani, Dr. Vijay Rajput, Dr. Sheila Nunn, Dr. Niels Larson, Dr. Maureen Hall, Miss Anita Spinelli, Dr. Alan Bateson, Mr. Dean Shillingford, Dr. Nancy Selfridge, Dr. Paul Abney, Mr. Carrie James, Dr. Jim Grogan, Mr. Gary Belot-Zerkovsky, Dr. Ariana Hamill, Dr. Jyotsna Pandy, Dr. Enrique Fernandez, Ms. Nicole Shillingford, Dr. Allison Dobby, Dr. Dorian Shillingford, Dr. Paula Wales, Dr. Stan White, Dr. William Lynn Weaver, Board of Trustees member Dr. Al Tarlov, our keynote speaker, Mr. Nicholas Kristof, Board of Trustees member Mr. Ron Taylor, Board of Trustees member Dr. Amy Pollock, Chairman of the Board of Trustees, Dr. Tom Hollinger, and last and certainly not least, your Dean and Chancellor, I introduce Dr. Joseph Flaherty.
Good morning. Are you happy to be here? Why don't you sit down then? It's going to be a long morning, but it's going to be good. Congratulations. You've worked for it. You've suffered for it. You've walked across Dominica for it and throughout the States. You're reaching a dream many of you had since kindergarten. You finally made it. Welcome it. Enjoy it. Carpe diem. Congratulations. What does it take to succeed in medical school? To get in, to get through, and to get a day like this. You've all done it. I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts on it. I'm equally sure you recall hearing from pre-med advisors or faculty or admissions committee that you didn't have what it takes to get to medical school and to get through it. And how were they predicting your chances of getting through? We know. They're looking at your MCATs, your grades, that C you got in organic chemistry. They might even have looked at where you came from and decided that no doubt you really don't fit the profile, what they're looking for. Before I go further, let me make a few things clear. Yes, the MCAT does tell us something about you. And yes, how well you performed in science does say something too. But it doesn't tell us everything. It doesn't predict, for example, how hard you're willing to work. It doesn't predict what you'll do when you have a setback and when obstacles persist and when it looks almost too difficult to overcome. For about 40 years and much longer, sociologists, psychologists, social scientists have been trying to look at what social factors predict success in a profession. A former math teacher turned University of Pennsylvania professor, Angela Duckworth, studies the concept of grit, G-R-I-T, not to be confused with a Southern meal. What she defines as a passion and perseverance for long-time goals. She started out wanting to know why the kids in her math class who tried the hardest performed the best. Later, the concept was used to examine whether the kids that made it to the final round of the National Spelling Bee have more grit than the ones who don't, regardless of intelligence. And in fact, they do. They just want it more. Her research has captured the interest of educators who recognize that there is more to predicting medical school success than the MCATs and your grade in organic chemistry. There's far more to consider in trying to predict who will be good doctors, who will have the capacity to sit alone in the room with a suffering patient and family and listen to them and plan with them what they have to do. Most of you know I'm the product of the University of Illinois College of Medicine. I earned my medical degrees there. I taught, I did research, and served as its executive dean. I also worked in an East Chicago steel mill to support my way through medical school. One of the things that attracted me to Ross was the attitude of the students. There's something about them, about you. I met students who were bright. I also noticed they were not entitled, like frankly too many of the U.S. students are. There was something about the way they talked about their opportunity, their chance, their determination to make it, and their confidence that they would make it. That inspired me, and when I think back, I look as you now, many of whom I've met and spoken with, I know what attracted to me was the grit of the Ross students they bring to this experience, your endurance, your resilience, your determination. I can tell you that at Ross, we're not trying to explain grit, we're looking at it for every medical student we take. We're looking at the experience you've had in your lives, the obstacles you've overcome, and the evidence you have what it takes to push during the most trying times. If grit is to become a criteria for medical schools, let people know we're already there. We recognize it, we look for it, and that our 2015 graduates live it. I'm extremely proud to serve as Dean and Chancellor of this university. It's a privilege to address you today, and we're proud in knowing our university makes an important contribution to our healthcare communities. Over the next few years, it will become more and more difficult to find a doctor, to get an appointment. I won't bore you with the data, you've all seen it, and we see all the ads saying this town needs a doctor. We have answered that call at Ross. We have answered it through you. I'm proud we're part of the solution. A subset of physician shortage problem is primary care. Every year, deans of medical school across the country get to say a lot of their graduates go into primary care. But we have an extraordinary lot of you going into primary care, not only going in it, staying in primary care, working in underserved areas, and doing, I think, what the nation needs. Lastly, I want to say a bit about diversity. For the most part, the discourse on this topic in the United States is focused primarily on racial and ethnic diversity. And there are good reasons, and tremendous strides have been made because of it. I'm also thinking about any student, any kid, if I may call them that, of any race or ethnic group who didn't know any doctors in their family. Maybe not even had college graduates. Some not even high school graduates in their family. I'm thinking about the kid who didn't have the money to shell out for an MCAT prep course or biology tutor. I'm thinking about the kid who worked 2 or 3 jobs through college so he could pay for books and an apartment. The next frontier of diversity in medical education is clearly not color or creed, but class. You look around the room today at your peers, I think you recognize we're educating a group of doctors very much like the communities they come from in the United States. I'm told that just about every year we break the record for the number of people graduating named Patel, although Kim is always a close second. On a more serious note, I'm also told when it comes to graduating African Americans, we have no rival. And we are very proud of that. Can we do more to guarantee we're really doing our part for the country, not just producing one of the largest number of doctors to go into the U.S. system, but a diverse group? Yes, we can. We can and we will. We have to do it. I think Ross can lead the way. It means finding new students the same way we found you. We look at the MCAT, the GPA. We also look at what you've done with your lives, who you are, what you want to be, what you've accomplished, what you've overcome, and try to understand whether you have the grit it takes to succeed. When you leave here today, I want you to take this to heart. You've accomplished something very admirable. Medical school is not easy. Ross is particularly not easy. Years from now, no patient will know what you've endured and persevered through to have the right to treat them. But I hope you remember. And remember, you didn't work this hard or work so long to forget who you are and where you come from. You're Ross University School of Medicine graduates. Congratulations. It is my special privilege today and honor to welcome our guest speaker, Mr. Nicholas Kristof, a Pulitzer-Prize winning journalist, to share this special day with us. His work to expose and address challenges in human rights and social justice around the world is a wonderful example for our graduates looking to make a difference in the world. Mr. Kristof was born in Chicago, grew up on a farm in Oregon, and went on to attend Harvard College and Oxford University. He has worked for the New York Times since 1984 and has been recognized internationally for his reporting on issues such as the Darfur conflict, the pro-democracy movement in China, and in human trafficking. He has a large following on social media, writes a twice-weekly column focusing on global health, poverty, and gender issues in the developing world. I'm pleased to invite Mr. Nicholas Kristof to the podium.
Thanks so much. Good morning. Well, Dr. Flaherty, faculty, parents, and above all, members of the class of 2015, congratulations. I'm so proud of you. I know so many others are proud of you. Oh, what's that? Oh, excuse me. Is there a doctor in the house? That was pretty good, but still a little bit reserved. Let's just try that one more time. Excuse me, we have an issue. Is there a doctor in the house? Bravo, we are so glad that there are doctors in the house. And, you know, there was one point I remember in my journalism career when I was really tempted to ditch journalism and sign up for med school. Let me tell you how that happened. I was in West Africa in the country of Niger, a small town, and I was trying to look at healthcare for especially maternal care. And I dropped into a little clinic, and there was a woman with severe eclampsia. She was lapsing into a coma. There was a doctor there, but they were reluctant to do a C-section, which would save her life and was really the only effective way to deal with the eclampsia, because they couldn't find her husband. They didn't want to do anything to a woman in Niger without her husband there. But they were also a little reluctant to have her die right in front of a New York Times journalist. And so after some discussion, they performed the C-section, and it was just a miracle to watch. You had this woman who went one moment from being on the edge of death to an hour later, she was recovering, and her baby was alive as well. And at that point, boy, I just wanted to take the MCATs. And it was a reminder, though, that that what saves lives is not just medical skill, but it's also access, and it's also a willingness for doctors to show empathy, to take risks, to perform those skills. One of your professors was telling me, this morning that medicine is not just about science, that above all it's about caring. And that was one thing that I saw that day. And here in the U.S., we have amazing medical skills, extraordinary medical science, but sometimes we still falter on access and on empathy. And your job is to help remedy that, and I know you will. Now, you've earned your white coats and your time on the rock, in the shack attacks there. I tried to learn the lingo a little bit. And whether or not you've mastered the Krebs cycle, you've seen Boiling Lake. Hope you've seen Boiling Lake. You're looking a little dubious, yeah? And you certainly made lifelong friends. And today you truly reach a turning point in your lives. Your families are so proud of you. So, yeah, there's the families. Okay, families, let's give the graduates a hand. But I also want to offer a caution about the success that you're headed for. You worked so hard, you've achieved this degree, and it's a moment to celebrate, but also to be clear-eyed about the need for a measure of humility, perspective, and empathy to accompany all that learning. And one of the dangers of success, frankly, is that we risk becoming insulated from the needs of average people. I've come to believe that one of our national challenges is what might be called an empathy gap. And it goes back to what I saw in that hospital, in that clinic in Niger. And what do I mean by an empathy gap? One way of looking at it is that here in the U.S., the wealthiest 20% of Americans actually donate less to charity as a fraction of incomes than the poorest 20%. Now, why would that be? The affluent Americans are no less intrinsically empathetic or compassionate or good or caring than anybody else. But it seems that if you are affluent in America today, then by and large you live in an affluent neighborhood. You're insulated from need to some degree. Most of your colleagues and friends are also reasonably well off. So need becomes something that you are intellectually aware of, but it's not necessarily something you encounter every day. In contrast, if you are poor in America today, then every day you encounter people needier than yourself. And confronted by that, you respond. I saw that in a medical context, that empathy gap, in the country of Cameroon, again in the context of reproductive health care. I was trying to report on maternal health and dropped in on a clinic far in the east of Cameroon and met the doctor who was assigned there. And he was very happy to see foreign visitors who could speak French, and he was telling us about the difficulties of being posted there and how it was unfortunate that so many women were dying in childbirth there. And then it gradually emerged that there was a woman in the next room named Prudence, a mother of 3 who was dying in childbirth. She had obstructed labor in the village, and the traditional birth attendant had sat on her stomach to try to force the baby out. The result was a ruptured uterus. She had been taken to this hospital, but the doctor was negotiating with the family and was unwilling to operate unless the family provided $100. So my video journalist and I provided the $100, and then the doctor said, well, there's no blood. And it turns out that we were compatible donors. We donated the blood. So everything seemed ready to go, and it seemed that Prudence might survive. But the doctor was at this point angry at Prudence's husband that he had raised her case with us, that he had lost face to these foreign visitors. And so he went home without operating on Prudence, and she died, and we watched her die. So unnecessarily, a mother of 3. And there again, it wasn't a lack of knowledge or a lack of facilities, but if you will, a lack of empathy. At Princeton University, a scholar named Susan Fisk has studied the human brain when we look at pictures of people who are poor or homeless, and she finds that when the brain of a successful person looks at those images, the brain processes them as if they're looking not at people, but at things. And in that context, it's of course harder to generate that kind of empathy that one needs to respond. If you're a doctor whose brain is processing troubled patients as things, not as people, then that's a problem for both you and for the patient. So I hope that you'll push back at that dynamic, and partly that's for your own good. You know, when my friends and I were graduating from college or grad school, we were full of ambition and desire to have an impact, and we thought that the way to be happy was to be promoted and gain prestige and this kind of thing. And all those help, but indeed one of the things that I've seen over the decades is that we humans are fundamentally social creatures. We're made to help others. We yearn to connect to a cause larger than ourselves. And there are these pleasure centers of the brain, like the nucleus accumbens, that are responsive to the most primal, sensual pleasures. They light up when we eat fine food, when people flirt with us, when we have sex. I participated in a study in which my nucleus accumbens and those of other research subjects were being scanned as we were had clickers and were watching a monitor, and as we were periodically receiving donations of money, and sure enough, if you get a gift of money, then your nucleus accumbens glows. But also we were invited periodically to make donations. And we had the clicker, we could decide to do it or not. And sure enough, when you make a donation, you're to a good cause, to a cause you believe in, your nucleus accumbens also glows. And it differs with the person, but for about half of Americans, these pleasure centers, like the nucleus accumbens, they seem to gain as much pleasure when we give as when we get. We've also seen that in other ways. I wouldn't say that money can't buy happiness, and certainly poverty doesn't either, but there is growing evidence that one of the more dependable ways to raise our happiness set point, if you will, is to engage with others in a cause larger than ourselves. Altruism is, in that sense, a selfish pleasure. And indeed, there was one longitudinal study in Massachusetts that found that generosity correlated more strongly to longevity than low cholesterol did. That's some advice you can give your patients, too. Now, one of the things that I really admire about Ross is how many of you end up serving needy communities at home or abroad. But you know that that is going to be frustrating, and some of you have seen that in your work even on the Rock and more recently. You know, you'll see people smoking. or using meth or heroin, or engaging in high-risk sex, or refusing to exercise. And you'll give them lots of great success, lots of great advice, and they won't take it. And you'll be frustrated. And that's when you'll need that extra dose of empathy to understand that sometimes it's not just about giving advice, but also about accepting that sometimes people won't take it and continuing to serve in that context. And if you can overcome that empathy gap, then truly amazing things can happen. One man I've had the privilege of writing about is a fellow called Ollie Neal, a African American who grew up in rural Arkansas in the 1950s. Everybody recognized that he was a brilliant kid, but also kind of a handful, kind of a troublemaker. He was attending a segregated black school, and he got fired from his job at a store for shoplifting. He reduced the sainted school librarian, Mrs. Grady, to tears. And then one day, Ollie Neal is skipping English class, and he's in Mrs. Grady's little library in this segregated black school in 1957, and a book, a novel, catches his eye. It's by an African-American author named Frank Yerby, and Ollie confessed to me that the reason it caught his eye was that the cover showed this woman with this very risque top. And I've always kind of wondered about that, because this is 1957. And what does a risque top even mean in 1957 terms? But whatever it does, it caught his eye, and so he picked up the book and he thought he might like to read it. But Ollie Neal is a tough kid. Tough kids don't read books. And he looks over at the checkout counter, and there's a girl in his class, and he's embarrassed to be seen checking out the book. So he puts it under his jacket and walks out. He steals the book. Well, he takes it home and he reads it, and it's a great, entertaining read. It's really the first book he's read for pleasure. So a week or two later, he smuggles it back into the library, puts it back on the shelf, and he notices another Frank Yerby novel. So he steals that one. He takes it home, and again, it's a great read, really moving read. And so he eventually returns it. He sees there's a third Frank Yerby novel he hadn't noticed before. He steals that one. This happens 4 times, and it turns him into a reader. He begins to read other novels, to graduate to literary fiction, to current events. And from this really troubled school in rural Arkansas, he goes on to college and then on to law school. He becomes one of Arkansas's first African-American lawyers, a leader in the civil rights movement, eventually a prosecutor and a judge. And throughout his career, he's dedicated to helping disadvantaged kids like the one that he had once been. And at one of these high school reunions, he goes back and he sees Mrs. Grady, and he says, "You know, Mrs. Grady, it's your little library that completely turned my life around. But I got to confess, I stole some of your books." And Mrs. Grady looked at him and said, "Well, Ollie, I have a confession too. I saw you steal that first book." And she'd been outraged when she saw him steal it. You know, she thought, what is this kid doing stealing a book when he can just go check it out? And then in a flash of, she was about ready to go confront him. And then in this flash of empathy, she understood that he was embarrassed to be seen reading. And so she let him steal the book. And then, even though he was an obnoxious troublemaker who had made her cry, she then drove that weekend 70 miles to Memphis, to the used bookstores there, to find another book by Frank Yerby. The first bookstore didn't have one. The second didn't have one. She can't remember if it was the third or the fourth that did. She bought it with her own dime, drove back, put it on the shelf, and when Ollie Neal stole that second novel, she was thrilled. Then she went back to Memphis, ended up buying 2 more of these books. And you know, Mrs. Grady was somebody who, as an African-American woman, had every reason to feel embittered by the lack of opportunity that she had had for reasons both of gender and race. She had plenty of reasons to just give up on Ollie Neal. And yet she showed that empathy to bridge that empathy gap. She took a risk on him. And that's what happens when we can bridge that empathy gap. It doesn't always work. You know that helping people in any sense is harder than it looks. It doesn't always work. But every now and then, it can have this remarkable and transformational impact, not only on the person that you are helping directly, but on rippling through them to the lives of so many other people. Now, why don't we take risks more often? Why don't we take chances more often? You know, I think part of it is a sense that the problems are just too vast, too big to make a difference. And you're going to see that in your profession. Sometimes the scale of the problems is going to be so vast, it's going to be unclear what helping one more person is going to do. You're going to be busy and frustrated and kind of overwhelmed by the scale of the challenges. And a challenge in that context, whether for doctors or for journalists, is that we become numb. It feels to us that anything we do is going to be a drop in the bucket. And in a sense, that's true. We're not going to solve the global problems of ill health. They are too vast. But I've become a great believer in drops in the bucket. And I'll tell you why. It's because of a man named Vladislav Kristofovich. Vladislav Kristofovich was born in Eastern Europe. He had an idyllic childhood. Then during World War II, he became a refugee. His family was imprisoned by the Nazis. Some bribed their way out of prison. Others died in Auschwitz. After the war, Vladislav Kristofovich fled on horseback, and he decided to escape to the west from Romania. On a moonlit night, he swam the Danube River on an inner tube that began leaking halfway across. On the Yugoslav side, he was captured and sent to a concentration camp. Yugoslavia was releasing some prisoners and executing others, and his life was spared because a French diplomat wrote a brief inquiry about him. He made his way to Italy and then to France, but he couldn't get a work permit. And he saw that life for East European refugee in France was not going to have opportunity either for him or for his children yet unborn. And so he decided that America was where he wanted to go. He looked into how he might be able to get an American visa. He explored a fake marriage to an American citizen as a pathway to a visa. That didn't work out. But he was cleaning hotel rooms in Paris, and one of those rooms was being used by a young American from Oregon who was very impressed by him. And she persuaded her parents back in Oregon and their church to sponsor his way to come to the U.S. They didn't know him. They'd never met him. They took a risk on him. And so he was able to travel to the U.S. The sponsors there, they didn't solve the global refugee problem. They didn't make a dent in the global refugee problem, but it was completely transformative for Vladislav Kristofovich and also for me, because after he got to the U.S., he decided that the name Kristofovich was just impossibly complicated and long in the U.S. It had 3 Z's for one thing. And so we shortened Kristofovich to Kristof. And he was my dad. So some of what you do may indeed seem to be drops in the bucket, but take it from me, drops in the bucket, that's how you fill buckets. So congratulations, doctors, and congratulations, families, for all that you have contributed. This is your degree as well. And celebrate your success and enjoy fruitful careers. I'll be running into you and asking you questions in the coming decades in my reporting. And please answer the phone when I call. And I hope you'll use your learning and success as leverage to help the cause of others, to help causes larger than yourself, to chip away at that empathy gap, and to fill buckets one drop at a time. Thank you so much, and congratulations.
In that spirit, why don't we just take a moment to stand up, look around the room at your loved ones and family that really helped get you through here. Stand up. Give them a round. Thank you. We'll have time. We'll have time. On a more somber note, before we begin the hooding ceremony today, I'd like to take a moment to remember Jonathan Raymond Astafan, a Ross student, the 5th semester, who lost his life yesterday in an automobile accident in Miramar. Raymond, a native Dominican and beloved member of the class of 2017, had just completed internal medicine foundations in April and was finishing an elective in geriatrics. Our thoughts are with Raymond's family, friends, and the entire Ross community during this difficult time. Thank you. We will now bestow degrees earned by students of Ross University School of Medicine as recommended by the faculty to the Board of Trustees. Board members, I certify to you that each candidate presented on the official graduation list has completed all the requirements for the degree of Doctor of Medicine. Therefore, in accordance with the will of the Board of Trustees, we are honored to bestow upon these candidates the degree of Doctor of Medicine. The candidates will now receive a diploma signifying the degree and all the dignities, rights, privileges, and protections belonging to it. As candidates come upon the stage, they will be hooded by Doctors Dobby, Weaver, White, or Hall. Each candidate will then hand their seating card to Dr. Wales or Dr. Fernandez, and their name will be announced. Then, one at a time, each student will cross the stage to receive his or her degree from myself, at which time a photographer will take your picture and will congratulate you and move along with this ceremony. Members of the graduating class of Ross University, the hooding ceremony will now begin.
Dr. Ivy Akid. Dr. Lisa Alex. Dr. Ayadola
Adenike Abike Adegon. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Andre Anderson. Dr. Guyana Amanturaga. Dr. Dinunk Abesetu Kushra. Dr. Syed Afanak. Dr. Tarek Yasser Ali. Dr. Catherine Abella Ramirez. Dr. Laura Alcawalde. Dr. Risha Adatala. Dr. Promise Anandike. Dr. Paul Dulé Alexi. Dr. Clarissa Nicole Aldape. Dr. Christina Aniqua. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Elisa May Austria. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Meredith Austin Appleton. Dr. Saba Asar. Dr. Omar Mustafa Abuzaid. This is a difficult one. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Lon Abney. Dr. Kedus Awan. Graduating with high honors, Katie Angelova. Dr. Nilafor Agakashri. Dr. Jonathan Alter. Dr. Sarah Usod. Dr. Summer Abdel Jabbar. Dr. Nina Azer. Dr. Judith Aranas. Dr. Clinton Joseph Alambro. Graduating with honors, Fatima Shiraz Abdul Hussein. Dr. Adefunka Bemi Salah Adedipe. Dr. Olushalawa Alabi. Dr. Mohammed Tatan. Dr. Richie Leonard Amboise. Dr. Amarichi Daphne H.R. Lanu. Dr. Nikisha Adams. Dr. Akbar Aparotu. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Mohammed Omar Arafe. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Shahzad Abbasi Rabar. Jonveen Janet Ataya, Dr. Jonveen Janet Ataya. Sorry. Graduating with honors, Dr. Glenda Augustine. Dr. Rebecca Aisima. Dr. Arime Teika Bajdejo. Dr. Cameron Bosme, graduating with high honors. Dr. Lindsay Buchan, Dr. Lindsay Buchan. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Mandy Bradshaw. Dr. Manike Babusukumar. Dr. Abina Dufie Apraku. Dr. Muneen Kaur Basi. Dr. Mazoom Nabil Bodiwa, graduating with honors. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Sarah Bauer. Dr. Justin Blauendrat. Dr. Shakira Bakare Bello. Dr. Sharda Budella. Dr. Brendan Bruner. Dr. Evelyn Badillo. Dr. Paulo Baramacedu. Dr. Anthony Baldoni. Dr. Samantha Ann Barudi. Dr. Karmuji Balaratnam. Dr. Nicole Borrego. Dr. Dr. Heather Brady Gruka. Dr. Husna Bambo. Dr. Sumira Boba. Dr. Farah Burhani. Graduating with high honors, Robert Mario Bautista. Dr. Richard Pardo Bowser. Dr. Tyrone Butler, graduating with highest honors. Graduating with honors, Dr. Robin Borsuk. Dr. Heidi Blank. Dr. Ashley Baroff Rufo. Dr. Tatania Araujo. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Ashish Dura. Graduating with honors, Dr. Christina Bortz. Graduating with honors, Dr. Jamie Marie Barker. Dr. Michelle Behar, graduating with high honors. Dr. Romina Juliet Bromberg, graduating with high honors. Dr. Shivani Bista, Dr. Kimberly Michelle Brown, graduating with honors. Dr. Charnier Monique Belcher, Dr. Amber Christine Biaz, Dr. Chantel T. Campbell, Dr. Benjamin Cantu, Dr. Gabriel Francisco Carrion Rodriguez, Dr. Joseph Cosentino, graduating with honors, Dr. Justin Sear, Dr. Lee Chow, graduating with high honors, Dr. Guinevere Capron, Dr. Eric Cabrera, Dr. Paige Castellino, graduating with honors. Dr. Neil James Cabigoni, Dr. Elisa Coleman, Dr. Ramye Chowdhury, Dr. Daniel Thomas Cifarelli, Dr. Rebecca Elizabeth Cisneros, graduating with highest honors, Dr. Stephanie Chiaccio, graduating with highest honors, Dr. William Chotas, graduating with high honors, Dr. Gina Marie Cook, Dr. Paul Catella, graduating with high honors, Dr. Ryan Cooper, graduating with high honors, Dr. Patrick Casillas, Dr. Chris Cherian, graduating with high honors, Dr. Ruchna Choksi, graduating with honors, Dr. Jasmine Regina Keynes, Dr. John Scott Carroll, graduating with honors, Dr. Catherine Ford Carroll, Dr. Heather Klum, Dr. Andrew Key, Dr. Sonia Janice Talaya, Dr. Julie Cadet, Dr. Andrew Castiglione, Dr. Christy Gloria Cherian, Dr. Vivian Shook Manchan, graduating with highest honors, Dr. Andrew Chang, Dr. Gregory Duyong, Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Christina Doe. Dr. Bruno da Silva. Dr. Noor Darwish. Dr. Ann Darumraj. Dr. Susan Duwick. Dr. Samuel Dodsey. Dr. Ashton Renee Degenhart. Dr. Kevin Din. Dr. Ya Bwakye Dwamina. Dr. Crystal Marie Davis. Dr. Ryan Davis. Dr. Jay Denehi. Graduating with honors, Dr. Marian Davari. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Osmani Diochand. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Brock Durant. Dr. Samir Shashuk Dengle. Graduating with high honors, Pooja Desai, Dr. Pooja Desai. Sorry about that. Dr. Melissa Day. Dr. Jonathan Dewald. Dr. Jonathan Manuel Dominguez. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Ian Dargon. Dr. Priya Davar. Dr. Dora Pereira da Silva. Dr. Jacelyn Page Davidson. Dr. Melandria Davis. Dr. Hussein Eklas. Dr. Ruth Higgins Ebert. Dr. Joanna Etienne. Dr. Stephen James Epping. Dr. Matthew Arisman, graduating with highest honors. Dr. Vishalakshi Elango. Dr. Rashima Eugene, graduating with highest honors. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Sharif El-Mahdi. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Hydro Andres Espinosa. Dr. Brinsley Ekinde Enkinde. Ekinde. Dr. Ekinde Ekinde. Graduating with honors, Dr. Kimberly Eustache. Dr. Franklin Menandi Eze. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Courtney Eakin. Dr. Tariq Faruqi. Dr. Joseph Fareed, Dr. Aaron Fry, Dr. Daniel Fernandez, graduating with high honors, Dr. Yehuda Fuzailu, Dr. Scott Freiberg, graduating with high honors, Dr. Michael Ferrante, Dr. Laura Field, Dr. Justin Fletcher, Dr. Brianna Fox, Dr. Shayna Freeman, Dr. Evelyn Fuentes Dondono, Dr. Uluwanfoto Fashano, Dr. Gina Francois, graduating with honors, Dr. Monica Stella Felix, Dr. Yasser Ali Fadel, Dr. Benedicto Angelo Fernandez, Dr. Rubina Fezi, Dr. Siddharth Garg, graduating with high honors, Dr. Tarvinder Gilotra, graduating with high honors, Dr. Sohaib Khalid Gialni, Dr. Melissa Maxine Gonzalez, Dr. Anna Eves Garcia, Dr. Janelle Vasant Dr. Gandhi, Dr. Eileen Castillo Gajo, Dr. Melissa Gomez, Dr. Alberto Anthony Goizueta, graduating with honors, Dr. Brian Thomas Gerber, graduating with honors, Dr. Gregory Grandio, Dr. Ayla Julie Gordon, Dr. John Gigioli, Dr. Alejandra Gutierrez, Dr. Mark Gabor, graduating with honors, Dr. Lilia Grandraberg, Dr. Mahalyat Mushe Giza, graduating with highest honors, Dr. Jenna Nicole Noah Grindle, graduating with high honors, Dr. Gustavo Gonzalez Garcia, graduating with highest honors, Dr. Emily Marie Gould, graduating with highest honors, Dr. Edward Gray, Dr. Daniel Goldman, graduating with high honors. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Linda Godinez. Dr. Yesen Godinez. Dr. Yesenia Christine Guerrero. Dr. Kimberly Danielle Gupta, graduating with highest honors. Dr. Shireen Grant. Dr. Maria Gutierrez. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Merrill George. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Paul Goit. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Eric Michael Hartman. Graduating with honors, Dr. Courtney Hannock. Graduating with honors, Dr. Amy Hoover. Graduating with honors, Dr. Carolyn Howe. Dr. John Humrickhouse. Dr. Alan Hyman. Dr. Latasha Marie Harper. Dr. Shawnee Natasha Hopwood. Dr. Jennifer Hubbard. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Jennifer Haynes. Graduating with honors, Dr. Jason Polk. Dr. George Hanna. Dr. Sarah Isam Hawatma. Dr. Jamie Christopher Harris. Dr. Eric Holzwanger, graduating with high honors. Dr. Max Hochstein, graduating with high honors. Dr. Sumit Kaur Hair. Dr. Hannah Madeline Hartnett. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Kristen Holiday Pokora. Dr. Christy Hua. Dr. Ifuth Hussein. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Courtney Henson. Dr. Midelis Herrera. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Christopher Henry. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Lydia Isaac. Dr. Uzochukwu Benibe. Dr. Udoka Ikezawa. Dr. May Ishmael. Dr. Obufemi Ifelawe. Dr. Namitha Joseph. Dr. Pujisha Seshvasavi Shanmugada. Jonalagada. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Sujit John. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Robert Jocelyn. Dr. Inderbir Johal. Dr. Eric Jensen. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Meredith May Janelle. Dr. Kinsley Jin. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Crystal Johnson. Dr. Natasha May Jobali. Dr. Brian Jensen. Dr. Michael Aram Jamgochian. Dr. Jeswin John. Graduating with honors, Dr. Maria Janakos. Dr. Daniel King. Dr. Joshua Collejo. Dr. Karija Kokulathen. Dr. Lauren Kushmak. Dr. Talina Kuznetsov. Graduating with honors, Dr. Anna Kropevina. Dr. Ifit Kokare. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Ari Kian. Dr. Ramanjote Kaur. Dr. Carolyn Latina Kaur. Graduating with honors, Dr. Jeffrey Young Kim. Dr. Mohammed Khan. Dr. Shahab Khan. Dr. Purvi King. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Lauren Kirshner. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Rochelle Kraus. Graduating with honors, Dr. Radha Kurjan. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Sayeda Simra Aziz Kushra. Dr. Aaron Kostelik. Dr. William Joseph Kennedy, Jr. Dr. Michael Castor. Dr. Constantine David Corey. Dr. Layli T. Korusani. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Thomas Andrew Corsil. Dr. Paul Kang. Dr. Rishi Kudakia, graduating with high honors. Dr. Albert Kazi. Dr. Kareem Kandil. Dr. Christina Kelly. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Michelle Denise Kelly. Dr. Urvashi Kohli. Dr. Eunice Koike. Dr. Diane Kim, graduating with highest honors. Dr. Tan Van Te Lung. Dr. Palak Kachadia. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Samdeep Katupazli. Dr. Kareen Kara, graduating with high honors. Dr. Cece Lee, graduating with highest honors. Dr. Tracy Lee, graduating with highest honors, Dr. Ting Lee. Dr. Ashley Lopez. Dr. Nicole Lopez. Dr. Nasira Larry. Dr. Pavan Ravindra Lapoor. Dr. Christina John Lamy, graduating with highest honors. Dr. Christian John Lamy, graduating with highest honors. Dr. Justin Lee, graduating with high honors. Dr. Hai Lee. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. David London. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Katie Kimberly Longo. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Kevin Leung. Dr. Lindsay Ling. Graduating with honors, Dr. Rachel Lodeau. Dr. Erica Morgan. Dr. Crystal Marquez. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Francis McCarran.
Dr. Raven Marvin. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. John Mitko. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Arjun Mahendre. Dr. Arina Sahenjiyun Melkanyan. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Christy McHale. Dr. Christopher Martin. Dr. Natisha Mahajan. Dr. Amanda Elise Mohammed. Dr. Nahid Mirbrahimi. Dr. Nahid Mirbrahimi. Dr. Lisa McGuire. With high honors, Dr. Kristen Mary Mondino. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Miriam Ali Mufti. Dr. Andrew McAfee. Dr. Tejal Narish Mystery, graduating with highest honors. Graduating with high honors, Savannah Margerer. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Kelly McFarland. Dr. Casey Martin. Dr. Henri Moucan. Dr. Anna Melomud. Dr. Sabrina Murphy. With high honors, Dr. David Maldau. With highest honors, Dr. Clint Matthew Merritt. Dr. Hussein Shabir Malbare. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Sarah Mayer. Dr. David Momund. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Omar Mahmoud. Dr. Arman Marabia. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Daniel Mack. Dr. Uzair Munshi. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Simon Moradian. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Arpina Manasi. Dr. Sarah Mallet. Dr. Patrick Moore. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Danielle Mills. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Wayne Martini. Dr. Matthew Thomas Mead. Dr. Carlos Abel Morales Mangual. Dr. Nancy Matthew Piquet. Dr. Maged Mikhail. Dr. Harleen Kaur Mand. Dr. U Manoharan. Manoharan. Dr. Mumu Maiman. Dr. Michael Ninembrovsky. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Bernard Nicholas. Dr. Yves Nazaire. Dr. Michael Wynn. Dr. Sarish Naka. Dr. Monica Evelyn Badillo. Dr. Nithin Natwa. Dr. May Nakau. Dr. Pavan Nandi. Dr. Camille Noble. Dr. Osman Mohammed Numair. Dr. Shagozir Makamu. Dr. Michael Ann Newman. Dr. Sandra Chidimwa Wake. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Yimli Lano. Dr. Joao Min Win. Dr. Thukek Win. Dr. T. Win. Dr. Nita Nakve. Dr. Roya Namdari. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Elena Niedermeyer. Dr. Marissa Ann Novak. Dr. Alexandra Helen Osak. Graduating with honors, Dr. Masech Kenneth Kebuye. Dr. Temi Tope Olutunji. Dr. John Oler. Dr. Okuchi Miriam Obona. Dr. Kimberly Amenze Owange. Dr. Neka Okafo. Dr. Chinyere Pamela Opalake. Dr. Clayton Opara. Ready? Dr. Ugo Chukwa Okafor. Dr. Chireka Orisakwe. Dr. Gloria Osuraka. Dr. Olawa Pamilegren Ogun. Dr. Tokenbow James Ulashabunko. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Lindsay Arthur Orr. Dr. Ashray Ori. Dr. Leonard Owusu. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Ugorji Harulum Chiemkawa Okori. Dr. Chiwameka Ohuambonwa. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Marcela Perez. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Tara Andrea Providence. Dr. Monique Pandey. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Thomas D4 Peckfock. Dr. Michael Pastor. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Virginia Stanley Parker. Dr. Joanna Andrea Polanco. Dr. Milind Patel. Dr. Mayank Patel, graduating with honors. Dr. Vishal Patel. Dr. Matthew Parisi. Dr. Charles Thomas Pokora. Dr. Unjana Patel. Dr. Leilama Pakarja. Dr. Aubrey Dossel Pereira. Dr. Devanbhai Suresh Chundra Patel. Dr. Francis Puejoy. Dr. Marco Antonio Peterson, Jr. Dr. Nirav Patel. Dr. Victor Manuel Peña. Dr. Elena Danielle Pirsante. Dr. Sujina Predan. Just trying to wait for him. Dr. Shobha Patil. Graduating with honors, Dr. Kinjal Nilesh Patel. Dr. Shyam Pinakin Patel. Dr. Allison Perkins. Dr. Dara Patel. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Amy Phillips. Dr. Kruti Shivlal Patel. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Neil Parikh. Dr. Nakyen Pham. Graduating with honors, Dr. Hui Fan. Emma Provida. Dr. James Alexander Plurad. Dr. Chaminda Pereira. Dr. Krunal Rajendra Patel. Dr. Rohan Parikh. Graduating with honors, Dr. Christopher Lee Price. Dr. Margaret Ophelia Pierce. Dr. Maisha Michelle Poland. Graduating with honors, Dr. Scotty Pytel. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Andrea Parks. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Sean Pippin. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Hitash Patel. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Vikram R. Patel. Dr. Shruti Patel. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Neil Patel. Dr. Kathan Patel. Dr. Shivam Patel. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Kasra Posty. Dr. Leisha Quiñones Camacho. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Angel Ramos. Dr. Ramiz Rahaman. Dr. Sonika Randev. Dr. Herleen Rai. Dr. Rosadana Rahaman. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Sarah Rashid. Dr. Melise Alexandra Reyes. Dr. Gumaliel John Roca. Dr. Kyrillos Riggs. Graduating with honors, Dr. Meena Rajabib. Okay, I just have to say there's a sign on the podium that says do not touch the mics because of the AV people, so please don't touch the mics. Dr. Fawad Rast. Dr. Renee Christine Ruggiero. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Nicholas Reichert. Dr. Haroon Raymond. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Zara Rahman. Dr. Benjamin Richland. Dr. Craig Evan Rumbaugh II. Rashan. Dr. Lavanya Ravindran. Graduating with honors, Dr. Anil Rathi. Dr. Douglas Reed. Dr. Paul Rollins. Dr. Katina Richardson. Dr. Diana Elizabeth Ridley. Dr. Sterling Monroe Ridley. Dr. Latrice Roberts. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Stephen Ross. Dr. Jeffrey Rutgard. Dr. Avide Rashed. Dr. Jose Rodriguez. Graduating with honors, Dr. Jared Sargent. Dr. George Salfati. Dr. Ibrahim Siddiqui. Dr. Zorawar Singh. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Paul Sapia. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Umesh J. Shah. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Pradeep Srikantan. Dr. Mudriha Syed. Dr. Rabah Syed. Dr. Nicole Smith. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Natasha Strubel. Dr. Niroshi Sokumar. Dr. Vinyasri Sham. Dr. Harpreet Singh Kandola. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Mukram Saeed. Dr. Meena Shaker. Dr. Taylor Schneider Shaker. Dr. Camille Elizabeth Spence. Dr. Amber Yvette Shepard. Dr. Luther Kofi Sintum. Dr. Ronald Seeregar. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Chaitanya Shilagani. Dr. Mateo Spara. Dr. Jessica Lee Strauss. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Ashley Swearingen. Dr. Anupama Srivastava Sina. Dr. Roy Shanerman. Dr. Andleeb Shirozi. Dr. Alok Singh. Graduating with honors, Dr. Tolga Savar. Dr. Prune Srivansteva. Dr. Gurvijay Singh. Dr. Ryan Sawney. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Jenny St. Aubin. Graduating with honors, Dr. Kenneth Philip Snell. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Stuart Shaw. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Zubair Syed. Graduating with honors, Dr. Ruchir Shah. Dr. Anton Subiv. Dr. Sunny Raj Shah. Dr. Thejel Shah. Dr. Poonmaja Saja. Dr. Navdeep Sro. Dr. Meena Soryal. Dr. Meera Sharma. Graduating with honors, Dr. Brittany Noel Stewart. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Kristen Sampson. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Elizabeth Brooke Schrickle. Graduating with honors, Dr. Sonam Singh. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Michael Spallone. Dr. Aylin Sainer. Dr. Zishan Sharif. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Mona Sultan. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Wael Sankar. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Megan Alicia Sentman. Dr. Darren Spinelli. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Jackie Smalls. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Christian Summerhalder. Dr. Roberto Carlos Suezo. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Anihita Saneni. Dr. Babak Salamati. Dr. Hasnain Syed. Right. Dr. Sadiq Salnekle Jad. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Scott Steinberg. Dr. George Trabanco. Dr. Kathy Jo Thompson. Dr. Sarah Thomas. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Ranjini Rachel Thomas. Dr. Niveditha Thangaraj. Dr. Hiral Pradeep Tukrar. Graduating with honors, Dr. Daniel Torino. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Ben V. Tran. Dr. Carl Anthony Termine III. Dr. Shantae Danielle Thomas. Dr. Joseph Torres. Dr. Peng Tao. Dr. Asif Udin. Dr. Abuka Odonakshi Uzor. Dr. Shizaba Usawa. Dr. Krista Altag. Dr. Florence Owa. Okay. Dr. Victoria Oduzi. Dr. Tete Upong. Dr. Ese Uwadia. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Marvi Verma Rijwani. Dr. Vivek Varki. Dr. Jamie Verastigi. Graduating with honors, Dr. Samuel Versmek. Dr. Andrew Vitali. Dr. Chelsea Vitakovsky. Graduating with honors, Dr. Yazan Viwich. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Matthew Warren. Dr. Christian Daniel Ward. Dr. Deborah Danielle Wickham. Dr. Shine Christy Wynn. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Elizabeth Estelle Webb. Dr. Renee Wibby. Dr. Toshiba Michelle Watson. Dr. Adam Waddell. Dr. Layla Binlay Warsama. Dr. Sarah Beth Wolf. Dr. Jenna Elise Walls. Dr. Erica Corinne Wentz. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Matthew Aldworth Woody. Dr. Eric Wogsland. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Jessica Williams. Dr. Kyle Walker. Graduating with high honors, Dr. John Wilson. Dr. Star Whitaker. Graduating with high honors, Dr. William Ward. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Stephen Yale. Dr. Joseph Yates. Dr. Paul Young. Dr. Robert Young. Dr. Wally Zari. Dr. Melody Nadimi Zoma. Graduating with highest honors, Dr. Justino Michael Zoma. Dr. Henry Zuri. Graduating with high honors, Dr. Matthew Sterling Zweig. Dr. Zachary Michael Zapata. Last one. You ready? Dr. Ivan Zaudinev.
Wow, that was fun, wasn't it? It is my great honor to recognize a student who is graduating today with a perfect 4.0 grade point average. This is truly an added achievement on what is already an exceptional accomplishment. We found it interesting that this student's brother received a similar award at another medical school two days ago. I would like to ask Dr. William Chotis to please return to the stage. I'd like to present to you this medal in recognition of your outstanding academic performance. Will all of the new doctors please rise? Please stay with me for the Hippocratic Oath. Okay, please be seated. We'll now ask the graduates of our School of Medicine to recite the Hippocratic Oath. For those of you who would like to follow along, the oath is printed in the program. As we recite this modernized version of an ancient oath, I ask that we keep in mind its significance. The oath was first administered by Hippocrates to remind those who bear the title physician that their fellows hold them in special esteem, and upon them give a sense of trust. It is still true today. Will all graduates, any physicians in the audience who wish to recite the oath, please rise, including the graduates, and join us. I know I asked you to sit down, I asked you to stand up again. I solemnly swear by all I hold dear that I will carry out my duties to the best of my abilities and judgment, the duties and responsibilities incumbent upon one who practices the profession of medicine. I will abstain from any act, either by omission or commission, that could harm those I serve, and I will never betray the confidences of those who place their trust in me. In order to best serve my patients, I commit myself to a lifetime of study so that I may stay fully current in the practice of my profession. With the full understanding of the special place of trust physicians hold in the hearts and minds of their patients, I dedicate myself to the service of all who seek my care. Thank you. Thank you. It is now my privilege to introduce Dr. Mozam Bajwa, a 2015 graduate of Ross School of Medicine. Dr. Bajwa earned a degree in public health from the University of North Carolina, as well as 2 master's degrees, one in neuroanatomy from Virginia Commonwealth, a second in public health from Thomas Jefferson. At Ross, he was an exemplary student, as well as a tutor and often an impromptu study session leader. Dr. Bajwa, notice the doctor, was an active member in several campus organizations, including the Silbia Mission Project, the indigenous Kalinago people of Dominica. He was also a member of the Blood Donors Club, the Pediatrics Club, and his 3rd semester founded the Ross Global Public Health Club, which continues to host outreach outreach and education across campus and the island. During his fourth semester, Dr. Bajwa was elected Honor Council President, faithfully serving his class and upholding the high standards for our students. Dr. Bajwa will continue his career in medicine in his first choice residency program in family medicine at University of California, Riverside. Dr. Bajwa.
Wow, hey everybody. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. It is a tremendous honor to represent the class of 2015 today in front of the Ross faculty, our esteemed guests, and of course, our family and friends. Thank you all for being here, and thank you truly to the administration for giving me this opportunity. As I walked up on stage just now to shake Dean Flaherty's hand, I was overflowing with excitement and student loan debt. And he told me, actually, what you missed, he told me we actually have one last clinical case to go through before we can officially graduate. So I figured we'd do it together to save time. A 29-year-old Ross medical student presents with a 4-year history of fatigue, anxiety, altered mental status, weight loss, nausea, weight gain, and occasional loose stools secondary to the shacks. The student reports a past medical history of 14 minis, 7 practicals, a dozen NBME tests, and $3,260 worth of USMLE exams. The student's social history is non-existent. Their family history is positive for loving supporters every step of the way, whether on Skype or on the phone. Parents and siblings sent care packages and encouragement across thousands of miles. The student reports allergies to 8 a.m. PBL, penicillin, having to explain the difference between the Dominican Republic and Dominica to your uncle for the 11th time, and a severe allergic reaction to flying Liat Airlines. Pertinent physical exam findings include a dislocated shoulder, torn ACL, and broken finger, all from playing intramural sports, especially on the greatest football team of all time, Team America. Labs are mostly benign, except for an elevated white count, probably because of the Canadians. EKG shows the student has left ventricular hypertrophy, confirmed on chest x-ray as cardiomegaly. For the non-medical folks in the audience, that just means a big heart, the type of heart that spends precious study time coordinating health clinics for the native care of people of Dominica, or donating blood for a patient in Princess Margaret Hospital, or organizing a clothing drive for the family of a bereaved campus security guard. Even though I've only been a doctor for a few minutes, it is my professional diagnosis that Ross produces among the most humble, dedicated, and passionate physicians in the world. What makes me most proud to be a Ross graduate today isn't the high-end facilities, the progressive clinical training, but rather it's all of you, the incredible people that I've met at Ross that truly exemplify what it means to succeed. I never imagined during that first terrifying flight into Dominica that I would meet so many dynamic students who are not only ridiculously smart, but really do care about the well-being of others, including their own classmates. I'm very grateful to all of you for being such inspiring examples from the very start through our finish here today. Every single one of us has dreamed of our graduation day. We began our journey on that beautiful island with limited access to basic life necessities like Netflix. And now, on this day, we have much to celebrate. The exams we passed, the drugs we memorized, the interviews we aced, and if we were lucky, the lives we touched. And though the challenges of residency and beyond may seem uncertain, trust that Ross has prepared us extremely well for whatever lies ahead. I told myself I wouldn't use any cheesy quotes today, but life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. Unless that box of chocolates is from James' store on the island, then you can be sure that the chocolate is well past its expiration date. As thrilled as I am today about all the amazing places we've matched to for residency, I'm even more excited about our collective future. We are the ones who will make lasting change in healthcare for this country. Think about it. The tropical storms we weathered on the island, the water and power outages through which we persevered. I think we can all agree to skip the new Jurassic Park movie because we already lived through that. We overcame every obstacle between us and our goal of becoming physicians. So who better than us to tackle the complex issues of the healthcare world? You would be hard-pressed to find a sea of graduates this month more prepared to solve these pressing problems. Trust me, I spent the last 4 years working alongside these talented people who excel at both doing well and doing good. So, fellow graduates, doctors, take pride in how far we've come, but have faith in how far we can go. This feeling of excitement that we all have right at this moment, let it stay with us throughout our careers. We will celebrate with our family and friends today, but let's not consider this the end point of our hard work. Instead, it marks the beginning of a new dream, to embrace the challenges ahead, because Ross has certainly given us the confidence to do exactly that. And finally, if you spent the last 5 minutes frantically perfecting your graduation selfie, could I just ask for a few seconds of your attention? There will certainly be times after July 1st when life gets very difficult. When graduation is a distant memory and you're somewhere between placing your first Tylenol order and running your first code blue. Trying to find a balance in your life will seem overwhelming. Please remember the most important lesson we learned in medical school: how to ask for help. It is okay to not be okay all the time. In fact, there is a distinct beauty found only in struggle, and all of us sitting here today are evidence of that. But that doesn't mean the suffering should be in silence. So let's remember to reach out to our classmates, our loved ones, that famous guy from the New York Times, anybody. Share your struggles, lend a listening ear, and just be on call for each other 24/7, because everyone needs help sometimes. To quote from our favorite neighbor, the late, great Mr. Rogers, so many people have helped us come to this day. Some of them are here, some of them are far away, some are even in heaven. All of us have special ones who have loved us into being. Would you just take, along with me, 10 seconds to think of all the people who have helped you become who you are today, those who have cared about you and wanted what is best for you in life. Just 10 seconds of silence, starting now. Whomever you've been thinking about, imagine how pleased they must be to know the difference you feel they've made. My fellow physicians, Ross University, class of 2015, I'm honored to know you, and I'm so excited for our future. Congratulations, and I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bajwa. I'm going to have to ask you all to rise another time. Please. Okay, are we happy? Are we up? Have we thanked our families enough? Can we do that one more time? Well, that is it. This concludes the commencement exercises for Ross University School of Medicine. Guests, please remain seated until those on the stage and the graduates have processed out. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, our program will begin in 10 minutes. Thank you.